today. Last year, 2009, some steam pipe work, replacement work behind Destler College uncovered some human bones. Naturally, the police were called, archaeology was brought in, and it was determined, initially we thought it could have been amputated limbs from the Civil War era hospital that was here. But the evidence showed that it was actually a cadaver pit from the medical university that was here after the Civil War. Apparently, when they finished their anatomy classes and practicing amputations and so forth, they just tossed them in a large pit right behind the building. And so the archaeologists were very excited. We were very excited for such a find, and the construction crews were not excited because it put a significant delay in their work. But so that was a really interesting find back there. So, you know, I can tell, particularly the undergraduate students, you just don't know what you're walking over as you walk across campus, and especially across the Horseshoe with everything going on. In addition to those kinds of finds, in the 70s, they excavated the old college wells. Now, there were several on campus, and they've been capped and covered back up. They found a lot of dishes and cups and silverware and things like that. And the reason why those were all down in the well is because the college was in yearly jeopardy of being shut down over student protests about the poor food. Because finally, the students were required to eat on campus at Steward's Hall. That was essentially the cafeteria. The steward did not receive a regular salary. His only income was whatever profit he made, and so he picked the worst possible, cheapest ingredients to put in the students' food. The first Steward's Hall was on the site of Harper College. The second one was on the Wardlaw College block, and the third one was across from Long Street Theater near Sumwall. At the second one, in 1852, things finally came to a head when the students got tired of finding worms in their biscuits and having rancid meat in their stews, and they staged what became known as the Great Biscuit Rebellion, where they signed an honor-bound pledge not to eat in commons unless the Board of Trustees changed the steward system. The trustees refused. Most of the students left the college. Some came back, most never did, and a few years later the trustees did finally change the steward system. Have some improvements there. So that was the Great Biscuit Rebellion, called its scandal investigation. We're going to come up to these initials near the end, and then we're going to go across the Horseshoe in front of the cassette. Initials. And on this side you can shoot the initials. They're a little hard to see. It's M-E-E. Now these initials are obviously harder to see because they're not in the white brick like the student organizations. And they were a bit of a mystery until we got a letter some years ago from an alumnus of the school who participated in the 1931 bricklaying project. And he wrote into us that he was part of the crew and they liked their brick masons. They just thought the world of him. He was wonderful, and they wanted to do something special for him. So they decided on their own to put his initials in the sidewalk. And his name was Marion E. Evans. What's really unusual about this is that Mr. Evans was African American. This was segregated South in 1931, but these students thought so much of him that they put his initials in perpetuity in the sidewalk, in the physical record of the university. So we were so thrilled to have that letter from that gentleman solving this mystery, and to find out that it was such an unusual piece of university history, such an unusual act, that we were just absolutely thrilled to get that information from him. So I like to keep special watch on these since they're not as obvious as the white bricks. We don't want them to accidentally be repaired. Repaired in that way. Here. We'll go here in front of McKissick now and we can wrap things up. Here we are in front of McKissick Museum. McKissick is the only 20th century building on the Horseshoe. It is just behind the location of the original President's House, which is right out here. Kind of the curve of the Horseshoe. It was built as the new University Library, completed in 1940, and served in that capacity for, well, not very long. The university started expanding quite rapidly after World War II, and the decision was made to construct a new library and split the collections by undergraduate and graduate collections. Initially, plans were to build a tremendous addition on the back of McKissick, which would have taken up all of Gibbs Green. But fortunately, they decided instead to build a separate undergraduate library, which is now Thomas Cooper Library. That was completed in 1959. McKissick became the graduate library. Then as the student population exploded in the 1960s and 70s, they had to build an addition onto Cooper, which was something like 6 times the size of the original undergraduate library.
Wow.
So as you walk in Cooper Library, those front 2 stories and then the 5th level front part are the original building. We have images that show originally with the glass front and the glass back, you could see straight through the library. It's a nice little jewel box of the library. Then the large addition came in, and that's why there's so much underground, so many underground floors on the building. And now again, with the addition of the Hollings Library, you can see through the building again. So it's a very nice return to that look. McKissick then became dedicated as a museum. It was named McKissick Library after President McKissick's death in 1944, and then as a museum again. The museum holds a wonderful Southern folklife collection as well as university history, art collections, crafts, just fabulous materials. And it's also the location of the University Visitor Center as well. I just want to look out over the Horseshoe a bit here because it still really remains the heart of the campus. It has seen a lot over the 200 years. It's seen student protests, riots, the 1902 riot, of course. It has seen the 1970 riots when the National Guard actually had to fire tear gas on the campus. Rolled across the Horseshoe. The students had taken over Osborne Administration Building in protest. And so there's been a lot that's going on. Hootie and the Blowfish played here. The Pope was here. Reagan was here. Just a lot of things have gone on, and it's very peaceful and tranquil now. But it's seen its share of excitement over the past 200 years. So there are a lot of stories associated with it, but that's about all that I can really squeeze into about an hour's worth tour. And we have lots more information and a lot more stories going on with the students and the rowdy students of the 19th century in particular. So anyone who'd like to get another tour, we do it all the time. You can contact me at University Archives at the South Carolina Library, and we'll be glad to set something up for you.
Thank you very much.